What's good? What's good? What's good? What's good? We're back in here once again for another one. Asharenu. Hope everybody is good. Just a little tissue in my nose. You already know what that's about. The breathing exercises. So let me just push that in. Don't want that to be a distraction. What's up? I see you, Callie. What's up, Callie? Hopefully everything is good with you down there. You already know. Hopefully you've been putting in that work. What's up, Moon Spirit? What's the bird? What's the bird? I already know. What's up off the grid? Anyway, let's get into it. Get into it right now. Alright, we're not going to waste too much time. What's up, Marvin and Magi? What's good, everybody? Hopefully everybody is good. Now, of course, you know, we're doing everything live, so there's a lot going on in the environment right now, you know what I mean? Got family in the background, you know, got things going on, so just work with me. So if anything happened, I apologize ahead of time. I may need to take care of something, step off for a quick second, but I'll be right back. So today, I definitely want to talk about the dynamics of the soul. Because as we've been reading the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, you know, it's been speaking a lot about the soul. And the soul, you know, people may not know, well, what is the soul? What is the soul? What is the soul? So, of course, that question is going to come up. So I figured, why not deal with that question before we continue to move along in the Emerald Tablets, so we can have a clear understanding of how they, you know, the ancients, how they saw the concept of the soul and what is the soul and what components, you know, are within the soul, what comprises the soul, so on and so forth, all this soul work, right? So I just want to lay the foundation of what the soul is and how dynamic and how vast it is, you know, as opposed to things that we think the soul is associated with. So let's get into it. So now, if we go back to the ancients, and I have a couple notes, right? What's up, profoundly dignified? I have a couple notes here. If we go back to the ancient concept of the soul, their vision of the soul, how they saw the soul, it was comprised of many parts, such as the following: the physical body, your spiritual body, your heart, your etheric double, your personality, your shadow, your intelligence, your form, your name, your essence, and your thought as a living entity, not necessarily, you know, just the process of thinking, but your thought as a living entity. All of these things as living entities. Right? So let's go through that one more time. So the ancients viewed the soul comprised of all of these parts. So they say all of these are aspects of the soul. One more time. The physical body, the spiritual body, the heart, the etheric double, the personality, the shadow, the intelligence, your form, your name, your essence, and your thought. They say this is the sum total of what makes up who and what you are. And each of these aspects of the soul has its own living intelligence. You can say you can treat it as a living entity. So you can say we are comprised of many living entities. You know, that's the way to view things, especially if we're talking about the soul. So let's go down the list one by one. So of course, first we have the physical body. So when we see the physical body as an extension of the soul, that means, of course, you know, everybody has a physical body, you know, a head, 2 arms, 2 legs, right? So we're not necessarily talking about it in that fashion. You can say we can be talking about it from a heritage perspective. What is our bodies comprised of? Again, when we don't view ourselves as earthlings, instead star beings. If we view ourselves as star beings instead of earthlings, it puts a lot of things into perspective. For example, we may think, how does a person get gold in their blood? We have gold in our blood. Or like how do you have all of the elements found on earth? Every element on a periodic table, how is every element that's found on earth also found within the so-called human body? Because in everybody else's mind, we're from earth. So how can everything within the earth or everything within the human body be found on the earth, and vice versa? Unless, just like the earth has celestial origins, the earth had to be made or grown. The earth didn't just appear. It was a process it had to go through. So although we are on earth, you could say the earth is an extraterrestrial itself, nonetheless. So if we view ourselves as star beings, so we are composed of the things that descend from the stars. That's what make up our physical bodies. Star dust. All right, so wrap your mind around that. We are composed of stardust, which contains the many elements that can be found also in the earth. Right? Because you can say the stardust are the remains of planets or galaxies, or, you know, it's like the beach, right? The beach is beautiful. One of the most beautiful places to go on the earth is a beach, which is simply just a collection of all the Earth's stardust. That's why it has such a magical feel. Like also all that sand and the mixture of the water and the sun, that's an alchemical process that the Earth naturally undergoes to purify itself. So you can say you are looking at the purest essence of the Earth at the beaches. That's why they're so beautiful. Next, we have the spiritual body. So the spiritual body, and again, okay, well, what is the spiritual body? That's why I wanted to make a distinction between the soul and the spirit. So your spiritual body, meaning the body that we do our spiritual work with, right? So all things spiritual, you can say, is an extension of the soul to the spirit body. So your spirit body is also an extension of the soul. So any type of spiritual work, any type of working with deities, all type of alchemy, all of the spiritual things that we undergo physically, being able to pull and convert energy from around us and also from far places, right? Being able to manipulate the elements, like, you know, all the spiritual powers and telekinesis and telepathy, so on and so forth, your psychic abilities. All those things you can say are activated through the spiritual body, which is an extension of the soul. So all things spiritual is essentially just an extension of the soul. It's not the soul itself. It's an extension of the soul. Next, we have the heart. And many of the videos, you know, I've been talking a lot about the intelligence of the heart. So this is why I talk about the intelligence of the heart, because the intelligence of the heart is separate from the intelligence of the physical body, as well as the spiritual body, as well as everything else that's going to come after we talk about the heart, right? So the heart in and of itself is a separate intelligence. It is also an extension of the soul. That's why, you know, you are always in tune with your heart, because it is an extension of the soul directly with its own intelligence. Then we have the double, or the etheric double. You can say the aspect of yourself that you project into the astral plane, right? Your Merkaba, right? That is also an extension of the soul, a vehicle of the soul. Because a lot of people are like, well, what is a Merkaba? You know, astral projection, star traveling, soul searching, star stepping. All this is an extension of the soul through the Merkaba, which is called the etheric double, so that you can travel. That is your spaceship, right? Your spaceship is your Merkaba. That's the vehicle you use to travel through the galaxies, or you can say travel into the to the depths of who and what you are. We are all universes within ourselves, so we can travel within ourselves, and forever get lost just within the mysteries contained within our own essence, versus external things. Next, we have the shadow. We've been talking a lot about the shadow, the dark side. The underworld, the underground, so on and so forth, right? So even the shadow, that so-called devilish part or that so-called childish part of you is also an extension of the soul. So even your dark side or your soul, the side of yourself that you're not really comfortable with, is also an extension of the soul. That's why it has to be expressed. That's why if it is oppressed, then it ends up coming back at us at full force, because it's being oppressed, because it is truly an extension of the soul. Next, intelligence, meaning a person's ability to receive input and be able to output. The brain, you can say the intelligence of the brain. So you can say, now the brain has its own separate intelligence. The heart has its own separate intelligence. So now we're talking about the brain, people who are very, very sharp and witty, being able to detect things, being able to see the opportunities when they present themselves, so on and so forth. Having the ability to be adaptive to your environment and manipulate the resources, at your will. So that's the intelligence of the brain, which is a separate entity, which is also an extension of the soul. What do we have left? We have form. So not only do we have the physical body, we also have form. What are they talking about? You can say we are comprised of many, many forms that make up, you can say the aura, your aura, how you're feeling on the internal level. So of course we have the physical makeup, the physical bodies. But then you have the bioenergetic, or your aura, that communicates with the physical world. So yes, we all look however we look, but then you have, as we call, energy, your vibes. You also have your vibes. So that aspect of yourself, your vibes, that is being projected from the aura, is also an extension of the soul, right? Because that's what gives form and shape to your reality, your vibes, how you are projecting and converting your energy, right? So the energy that you are projecting and converting gives form and shape to your reality, right? Because remember, based on different vibrations, create certain shapes. You can put a certain vibration and you can see shapes take form. It's a whole science to this, where certain vibrations give shape certain forms. So we know that these forms that we see are the projections of vibration, or your vibes that are being projected from the aura, right? What do we have next? We have the name, your name. So your name is also its own intelligence. Your name in and of itself is a living entity, right? That's why I talk a lot about the secret name, which is pretty much the next thing, the magical essence. I don't think I mentioned this at first. So your magical side. So you have your name, then you have your magical essence, which you can just say your secret name, the name that you work your magic through, or your alchemy through. So you have your name, that you communicate with the business and your family and all that. You have your name, you have your given name, but then you have you can say your business name, or your magical name, a name that you have received from the spirits, or all right, we back in here. We back in. But like I said, I gave y'all the warning at the beginning. I said there's a lot going on. But what happened was the phone overheated. It pretty much was in direct sunlight. didn't realize, you know, the sun is moving as the video was going along. So I did notice. So the phone like, oh, it's just too hot, you know, there's so overheating is going on. So let's wrap up this video. Let's wrap it up, you know, before it actually goes out again. So where was I? Talking about extensions of the soul. So we were talking about the name, which is an extension of the soul, the name that was given to you and that people communicate with you with. Then you have your magical essence, or your secret name, your magical name, your occultic name, your esoteric name, the name that you take. All right, we're good. Yeah. And lastly, of course, we talked about the thought. The thought is also an extension of the soul, not the process of thought being in and of itself, versus, you know, what the thought does. The intelligence of thought itself is also an extension of the soul. So one last time, we have the physical body, the spiritual body, the heart, the etheric double, the personality, the shadow, the intelligence, your form, your name, your magical essence, and your thought. And all of these, when combined, make up the sum total of your soul. Now, of course, you know, we can take this way deeper than that, but I just want this to be an introduction because, again, just to make the distinction between the spirit and the soul. The spirit, as you can say, is your spirit body, the body that you use to absorb and push out energy, right? Your chi, your vril, prana, all that happens through your spiritual body. You know, your aura, your bioelectricity, all that is happening through the spirit body, but it is an extension of the soul. It is not the soul, but an extension of the soul. So now that we have things in the proper context, we have laid the foundation. So now that when we go further along, when the soul is being repeated, we can know the difference between the spirit and the soul and not get confused, not get lost, so we can fully intake the message that's being received. So hopefully this brought some type of clarity, you know, to those who may have been curious about what's the difference between the spirit and the soul and what the soul is exactly. So when we talk about soul, how do you get in contact with your soul? How do you have soulful communications? Now that we have broken down the various aspects of the soul, now it can take you deeper into you utilizing one of those vehicles of the soul, because these are all vehicles of the soul. So it's all about which vehicle of the soul would you like to take to have a particular experience. You can take the physical body as a vessel or a vehicle, an extension of the soul to have things that way. You can do things through your spiritual body. You can do things through the heart. Again, we talk about these things, right? You can do things through your etheric double, through astral projection, right? Things can be accomplished there. Things can be accomplished through your personality, you being able to effectively communicate with people. You can tap into things that way. You can have those abilities, right? Things can be accomplished by you being very, very witty and intelligent and being able to be an opportunist, a hustler, right? Your intelligence, things can happen that way. Things can happen through your form, through your vibes. You can manipulate your vibes and how you make other people feel. You have certain experiences in life that way. And so on and so forth. With your name, of course, that's why you can change your name. You can change the vibration of your name to have a different experience in life. If you change your name, you will have a different experience in life. So that's just letting you know the magical nature behind everything in reality. Everything in reality can be programmed and reprogrammed, just like an SD card. Everybody has an SD card. Things can be programmed, deleted, added to. You know what I mean? You can manipulate it however you choose to manipulate it. Therefore, and of course, your magical name, your alchemical name. You can have a particular experience that way. And lastly, thought. Thought can take you all over the planet, all over the cosmos. You can have a particular experience through that. So all these are extensions or vehicles that the soul uses to express itself. So it's just all about which vehicles do you work with more efficiently. And the ones that you work with more efficiently, those are the ones that you can tap into to have these what we call synchronistic experiences and spiritual experiences, so on and so forth. We see that we have many different avenues, many different vehicles, right? We got all type of vehicles in the garage. You got the exotic vehicles, you got your everyday car, you got the car that you can take overseas. You know, you got all type of vehicles, you got all type of luxury, All these are our natural birthright luxuries. These are the vehicles of the soul. So you can express the soul and extend your soul through any of these vehicles. So it's just all about, what vehicle do you want to take out every day, right? What vehicle do you want to tap into to extend your soul, to express the divine nature of your soul? Which vehicle do you want to use? You got all these cars in the garage, or you got all these women to choose from, or you got all these men to choose from. However you want to, whatever example you want to use, whatever analogy you want to use, it's about what form or what vortex, what opening do you want to use to extend your soul. This life is for us to extend our soul. And it's just all about which vehicle do you want to do that. Some things are going to come easier to some people, other things are going to come easier to other people. You just got to find your particular niche. What makes the most sense to you, right? So, we don't want to make this too long. Definitely it's another hot day in Vegas. We come at y'all every day, so we're definitely going to pick up with the Emerald Taps of Thoth tomorrow. I just wanted to, make this final clarification, just to, again, put things in the proper order so that when these things are being read, we can understand what's really being said beyond, the confusion that's all over the planet, because it's a lot of misinformation. It's a lot of truthful information, then it's a lot of misinformation. So we have to tap into our soul to navigate through what's real and what's nonsense. And again, we have many different exotic vehicles that we can choose from. Make your choice. Again, this is our birthright. Our birthright is to extend the soul. And that's the last thing I want to talk about is we cannot allow the vehicles of the soul to define the soul, because it doesn't. For example, a lot of people walk around with a lot of guilt on their heart because of something that they may have did with their physical body. It has created guilt. So they put this guilt on their chest, making their heart heavier than the feather, which will cause them to have to reincarnate if that guilt builds up. Because you cannot define yourself by what you have done through your physical body, because your soul is an aspect of you that always remains pure, regardless of whichever vehicles that you take to express it. The soul itself remains pure, regardless of the vehicles you use. So again, people have a lot of guilt on their chest for something that they may have did physically, something that may have occurred spiritually, something that may have occurred tapping into their shadow side, whatever that is. Then they say that's who I am, that's who I am. When the soul remains pure, that's why, in the spirit realm, that's why we're going beyond moralism, good and bad, because once you go beyond that, because you realize that the soul remains pure. The soul is never diluted or tampered with just because of what you have used a vehicle of it. It is just a vehicle of it, but it does not define the soul itself. So the soul itself will forever remain pure, regardless of the acts of the vehicles. So just keep that in mind. So, that's it. Just want to put things in the proper context. We're going to be right back tomorrow. Be sure to check the links in the description, right? Yeah, 3:33. We out.